Thank you for tuning in to NSUSpartans.com. Today we have our weekly interview with Spartan football coach Pete Adrian, looking back at last week's Battle of the Bay football game and looking ahead to this coming Saturday's game at Bethune-Cookman. And Coach, looking back on the loss at Hampton on Saturday, it seemed like the game maybe played out kind of similarly to the South Carolina State game, and that your defense gave up a score early. After that, settled in and played a pretty solid ball game, but the offense just couldn't quite get untracked until the fourth quarter.
Well, yeah, we just turned the ball over, and I mean in the first drive, Hampton really had three great catches in a row on third down. I mean, they were super catches, so you got to give them credit on that. Ended up getting the score, but then after that, I think they ended up with 200 yards total offense, somewhere around there. But that doesn't make any difference. They got a couple of scores, and the whole thing of the ball game is turnovers. I mean, that's been our biggest fault the last few weeks. You can't turn it over 4 or 5 times a game unless you're getting 4 or 5 back. And we get a couple, but we're not getting 4 or 5. And then the offense always seems to get started a little late. And we're trying to start fast, and we haven't been able to do that.
Obviously, I know you said before you don't go into the huddle saying, okay, fumble on 2. You had 5 turnovers this past Saturday, a couple of them off some tip balls as well. But what are some things that you can do to get your team to try to really value the ball and try to cut down on that number some?
Well, I mean, the tip balls are really, I don't know how to stop a tip ball. When it hits somebody's hand, it's going to bounce anywhere. And this year it seems to be going to our opponent, and when we get one, it seems to go right down in the ground, but that's the way it goes. Some things you do, you try to make sure that quarterbacks maybe throwing some safer balls, where if it does get tipped, there's nobody in the area to try to get it. And again, the receiver's job is to catch the football, and the quarterback's job is to give him a catchable ball. And some of the tip passes have been a little behind him, and that's why it gets tipped on there.
Despite that, you came back, cut the lead to 28-14 in the fourth quarter, had a chance to make it a one-score game with about 2 minutes left, but again, just couldn't quite get over that hump.
Yeah, and we had a nice play, and we threw the ball in the end zone, and the ball went right through one of our receivers' hands in a corner route, which would have made it 28-21. And of course, we would have had an onside situation, and who knows? But we definitely, again, our kids have played hard all year. They've never quit. We just got to stop beating ourselves, and that's what we're doing.
You did cut down on penalties. I mean, we are seeing some progress in that department as well. Obviously, that was one of the stories from the Delaware State game, but only 6 penalties against Hampton. So I imagine you're fairly happy with that number.
Well, I am, but some of the penalties called on you, again, it's not how many penalties you get, it's when did they call it makes a difference like that. And so, we can't be holding. We get a first down, a big first down, and we get a holding call. We can't be holding. We get a chance to get a punt, we don't get the punt. Just things like that. And again, that's all part of the game, so you got to overcome that. And, it seems like when it rains, it pours, and it's pouring right now, so we got to shut off the spigot.
Obviously, you've got a fairly young quarterback in Jake Basmajian, just made his second start at NSU last Saturday. What are some areas where you want to see him in particular improve upon? He's completing his passes at a high rate, but obviously some turnovers have bogged things down a little bit. Well,
the one thing we talked about offensively on Sunday is that the rest of the team has to help him. When he has a chance to sit back in the pocket now that he's throwing a pretty good ball, when he starts getting flushed, he's trying to make a play, and like I tell him, it's okay to punt, and sometimes it turns up into an interception. And then the other thing is our kids got to run the routes that's called. If the quarterback thinks you're running a comeback, and he throws it for the comeback, and you run the out, guess what? The ball's going to get picked off, and that's happened a couple of times.
Looking ahead, Coach, what are some ways that you're trying to keep your team focused and motivated heading into this final 4-game stretch of the season?
Well, we got a good group of kids. The kids are playing hard. They're as frustrated as our fans and the coaches and everything like that. And if anything, I think maybe they're trying too hard sometimes. We're pressing a little bit. We're catching some balls in the kicking game that we probably should get away from and just let it bounce, and it ends up coming back and hurting us and things of like that nature. So we'll be excited about going down and playing at Bethune-Cookman. And they're a good football team. I think they're undefeated and they're in first place like that. But it's a typical strong football team. They want to run the football. They want to do play action, and they always play good defense.
Do you draw any parallels to this year's game with Bethune versus last year? Shoes on the other foot a little bit, in that Bethune was a little out of the conference race last year, trying to knock off an undefeated NSU team at home. And are you taking sort of the same approach maybe, but in reverse this year?
Well, that would be nice from our end if history could repeat itself. Yeah, we would like that, but they're going to do all they can to make sure that doesn't happen. I'm sure they've been talking about that. But more importantly for us, we're just talking about, we're not worried about the other team. Let's play a game. Let's play a solid game. Let's don't turn it over, and let's see what happens.
What will be some keys to victory aside from eliminating the turnovers? What will be some other keys to victory this Saturday at Bethune-Cookman?
Well, we'd love to start fast, but again, in the kicking game, we got to be solid. All right. I think we fumbled a kick, whether it's a fumble in a punt or the kickoff, just about every game. We can't do that. And of course, we've been working hard not to do it. We've changed players back here, and it seems like everybody takes a shot at a fumble and one. Offensively, we got to move the ball some. We just can't go 1, 2, 3 and kick. And if you get a couple of first downs and you punt it, that's fine. And so that's the whole thing. We got to play a total game, and we haven't done that.
All right, Coach, we wish you good luck this Saturday. It'll certainly be a hard-fought contest. It always is against Bethune-Cookman. Kickoff is 4 p.m. this Saturday in Daytona Beach, Florida. If you can't make it to the game, as always, you can hear it on the NSU Sports Network, 102.1 FM and 1490 AM The Game. And as always, for more information on Spartan football, visit our website, nsuspartans.com.